Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. My name is Ash, and honestly, I have the great pleasure to do a review video of not one game, not two games, but 6 awesome retro games, all from Inin Games. Now, Inin Games are like publishers of like re-releases of classic games. They restore them. They sometimes release games that never came out in certain like regions and stuff like that. And they're normally on PlayStation and Switch, but that has all changed because the ININvasion is here. And not only did they release that on-rail shooter a couple of months ago, Air Twister, which I streamed on PlayStation, that got released onto Xbox in November as well, but they've dumped 6 awesome games onto the Xbox platform in December, and I've been playing them over my Christmas holiday, and I can't wait to jump into a bit of detail about all of them and go through them because they're absolutely awesome. So let's jump into it and let's talk about some awesome games. Okay, first up is Clockwork Aquario. Now, I covered this on the channel previously when it released. It's been out in 2021 on Switch and PS4. For anyone who hasn't watched that video or doesn't know about this game, this was originally developed by Waystone back in 1992, and it was going to be their last arcade game for the Sega System 18. It's going to like push its hardware limits and everything like that because it looked fantastic. However, because gaming was moving over to like 3D and fighting games in the arcades, it never got released. However, Strictly Limited Games acquired the rights in 2017, and thanks to Inin Games collaborating with them and restoring it and everything like that, including working alongside like the former staff members as well, which was cool, this game eventually got released. Now, this is the Guinness World Record for the longest time between the start of a video game project and its release, as at 28 years and 81 days, which is astronomical. But this is why I love Inin Games. They really get these like retro games that have never even come out before, and they're bringing them to console. So this is an action platformer game. You play as 3 different characters. You can play as Hook, L, or Gush, who's a robot. And the aim of the game is to stop the evil Dr. Hangyo, and he's basically trying to take over the world. Standard platforming things. Now, the game plays a lot like Mario and stuff like that, but has a very bright, colourful, chunky aesthetic to it. It definitely reminds me of playing the Wonder Boy games in the collection I played recently for a stream, in the terms of how they look and like they're bright and colourful and like big thick outlines and stuff like that. Now, this is a very action orientated game. You can slap, jump on, headbutt, pick your enemies up and throw them at the other enemies. It's all about getting points and like comboing enemy kills and stuff like that. There's mini bosses throughout the levels, and then there's like a boss at the end of each stage as well. Now, you also have the ability to turn invincible as well for a brief period of time, and then that replenishes when you pick up items as well. Now, this game is quite fun. It is quite difficult if you're trying to do it on like one continue, but luckily with these releases you have all of the bells and whistles where you're able to like play to your heart's content and not worry about it. But yeah, this one is really, really good. I am a huge fan of this game. I'm so glad it finally got a release. Okay, we have another game that never made it to original release, and this one was actually developed by Psygnosis, who obviously became a PlayStation studio, made Wipeout and Lemmings and stuff like that. And this game is Ultracore, which was originally known as Hardcore. Now, this is a run and gun video game, and it was originally developed by DICE to be published, like I say, by Psygnosis in 1994 for like the Amiga Genesis and Sega CD. Now, this is another one where the game never got released, but it has been now brought out to modern consoles thanks to like Strictly Limited Games and Inin Games. Now, This one is like a fast-paced run and gun game. There's tons of power-ups, but there is like a time limit to each of the levels, so you have to really keep moving in order to make sure you get to the end of the areas. You get a ton of ammo. There's a whole host of different sort of weapon abilities and stuff like that that you'll unlock. And graphically, it's not too bad. There's a lot of different enemy types. However, I did find it a little bit confusing trying to figure out where you were supposed to go at what time, especially when you're indoors and you're going up and down in elevators and stuff like that. I honestly got lost quite a lot with this game, but it's fun to just blast your way through a whole host of enemies, like robots and all sorts of stuff. So if you like old school run and gun games, this one is definitely worth checking out as well. Okay, next up is Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. Now, this is a newer release. It's basically the newest release in the Pocky and Rocky franchise. Now, in Japan, this is sometimes known as Kiki Kai Kai, and this is a sort of multi-directional scrolling shooter game. Obviously, it still looks retro. It's based on a retro franchise and stuff like that. It's just got modern day upgrades and stuff like that, but it still has like 16-bit graphics and sounds, and honestly it looks fantastic, and it has really great animations on the characters and enemies. Now, this game features a variety of different playable characters. It has a story mode for one player and a free mode for two-player co-op as well. Now, it does have an easy mode that you can unlock, but you have to finish the game to unlock the easy mode, which kind of seems a little backwards. However, I do like this one. I like the look of it. I like the story to it, and it makes me want to go back and try out some of the older games in the franchise, because I don't think it's a franchise I've ever sort of touched. But the weird and wonderful characters, the sort of classic sort of Japanese setting, like with the buildings and everything like that, it looks great. The animation and the sound's fantastic. And it's obviously in, like, say, under license from Taito, who did the original games. So this one is another fantastic addition to the Xbox platform. Okay, next up is probably my favourite of the 6 releases, and this is Cotton 100%. Now, this is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up game that came out in 1994, and it was obviously developed by Success, and it was originally published for the Super Famicom or the SNES. Now, this is the second game in the Cotton franchise. However, like I say, you don't really need to play the first game to play this one. It's a sort of game where you play as this young witch, and she has a little fairy companion, Silk, and you basically have to blast your way through a variety of different areas, defeating loads of different monsters to get this candy. Now, I really enjoyed this game. It's really, really fun. It looks great and sounds great. I am a huge shmup fan, and being able to play this on Xbox for the first time is fantastic. It's now, like I say, now it's on Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. It's like the first time it's been released for Western regions since its original release as well. So if you've never played this one, it wouldn't surprise me, but you really should check it out. Like I say, side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Really cool bosses and stuff like that. Like there was one that was like a pumpkin head thing that kept coming at you. I thought that was really cool. Overall, I had a blast playing this one. It's the one I've gone back to the most since I've played through them all for this video. Okay, we then have the IREM Collection Volume 1. Now this contains 3 classic shoot-'em-up games from the late 80s to the early 90s. Now this includes Image Fight, which came out in 89. Image Fight 2, which is more of the same, came out in 92. And it features like voice acted cutscenes and everything like that, and those two are both top-down shooter games. Awesome, love them. I'm a huge shmup fan. And then there's X Multiply, which is a spin-off of the series, which goes into side-scrolling from top down. And this one's a bit different because you're like inside a human body, basically, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, overall, the 3 games separately are all great, and the ports are great. They're great shmups. My only complaint is they call this a collection, and it feels like there should be more games in it for like a full like collection release. Now, I'm not super fussed because I would buy them anyway, but the fact that this is volume 1 and there's only 3 games, I feel like maybe they should have put more games in them instead of releasing multiple volumes over and over. Now, obviously, that could be a totally different feeling for you guys. It's just my personal opinion. But in terms of the quality of the games on offer, the 3 there are fantastic. To say they came out in the 80s, some of them are older than me, that they look and play as good as they do, it just speaks volumes for how good a release they are. And like I say, I'd like to play more of these. I'd like to see more. I just feel like a few extra games thrown into a collection would have softened the blow a little bit. Okay, and last up is Panorama Cotton. Now, this is a rail shooter game, the 3rd in the Cotton franchise. Obviously, this is the follow-up to Cotton 100%, and unlike that one, that was a side-scrolling shooter game. This one is a rail shooter from behind, very much like Space Harrier, where it gives you that pseudo 3D style environments and viewpoint. Now, this was originally released in '94 on the Mega Drive console, and this one's fun. I'm not a big fan of rail shooters like this. I was never the biggest fan of Space Harrier, and this one hasn't sold me on it. Like, it looks fantastic, it sounds fantastic. There's just so much going on, I just never know if I'm doing well or not until I'm dead. And that's probably a me problem. I'm not going to lie. Like I say, I highly recommend playing it. It's a fantastic retro game. It looks great. And like I say, I could imagine playing this on a Mega Drive and it being absolutely like fantastic. Like, I think it was originally also only in Japan till they've like re-released them recently and given it an international release. But they're just not for me, these types of games. There's just a bit too much going on, and like I feel like I'm just plodding along, hitting everything, and not really sure what I'm actually doing, like with any sort of skill. Like, it's not like a platform where I know I'm doing the jumps and stuff like that. That being said, like, say if you like Space Harrier and stuff like that, you're gonna love this game. It's really, really fun, really awesome, and like I say, it's cool to see how the franchise changed between iterations as well. So that is it for the ININvasion on Xbox. And this is just the beginning. I hope the rest of the Inin games come to Xbox very, very soon. Now, one thing you've got to remember is all of these games have those sort of modern quality of life improvements. You've got the better resolutions. Some of them have even got like behind the scenes content where you can look at the manuals and stuff like that. They all play great. They all have like different settings and stuff you can twiddle with to make the game just how you want it to be. Fantastic ports, a fantastic variation and selection of games. Honestly, it's been an absolute joy to play these over my Christmas break. But anyway, guys, make sure you hit that like button, you hit subscribe, and you check out the rest of our content. I've covered a lot of Inin games on the channel already, normally on PlayStation, Switch, stuff like that. So if you are interested, you can check more in-depth reviews like my Clockwork Aquario review. You can go into a bit more depth in that full standalone video there. But please check these out. If you are an Xbox fan and you love retro games, please go out and buy these. Give them the support so there's a reason for more of these to come to Xbox, because if they sell well, then we'll get them the same time as they come to PlayStation and Switch instead of 2 years later. I'm so happy they're finally here. It's been a blast to play them again, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. But anyway, guys, I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.